Hello guys, a long time no chat. I'm at you live from my car because, to be honest, this is the only place I can film right now. First of all, it's gonna rain, so it's super dark. The lighting in my room is not the best, along with the fact that Anthony works from home, so the guest room is like a complete office now slash guest room. So he's in there all the time, which is another reason why it's hard to film. So it's just like, I just gotta take what I can get. So today I'm going to be filming my basically first trimester update, how did I find that I was pregnant, trying to conceive, all of that. Just because it's my last baby and I want to document a little more than I typically did in the past. So excuse me if I'm all over the place because it's been a while since everything has like progressed, or since I got that first positive pregnancy test, but I'm gonna try to remember as much as I can. And if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my phone because in the beginning I was writing everything in my notes and doing a very good job of documenting because I knew eventually I wanted to film this video. So if I get out of breath, it's because I'm pregnant. It's long, sorry, not really. If you see cars driving by, my doors are locked and I'm fine. I have the AC on low. If you hear the AC, I'm sorry too, but I mean, I can't be in a car with no AC. Okay, so starting from the beginning. First of all, if you're new here, hello, my name is Gabriella. I am pregnant with my third baby boy. I will be 17 weeks pregnant tomorrow, which is October 2nd. Due March 12th, 2022, which sounds crazy. I have an 8-year-old boy and he'll be 9 in December, and then I have a 2-year-old who will be 3 in January. Around February or March, I decided that I was going to get off my birth control just so that the hormones can start exiting my body, because I knew that I wanted to get pregnant in June. And you ask, why June? Well, if I got pregnant in June, I would have a baby around March, April, depending, or yeah, March. And so I knew I didn't want to have another winter baby because I have my son's birthday, which is December 12th, and then I have Christmas, New Year's, and then we have Lennox's birthday, January 25th. So it's like a lot going on with the holidays and birthdays there. So I kind of wanted to like kind of space it out, even though too much is not that much of a space. It's better than not having that 2-month grace period. Now it's raining. And so I was like, okay, I know I don't want to get pregnant in winter, and I don't want to get pregnant in the summer because the summer is, my birthday is the end of July and Anthony's birthday is the beginning of August. Our birthdays are less than a week apart, so typically we like to go away for our birthdays, and I just didn't want to this sounds selfish, I don't care, but I didn't want to have a birthday the same week as our birthday or super close. So I was like, that means that leaves spring or fall that I want to get pregnant. And then also the timeline with Lennox gonna be 3, shortly turning 3. I didn't want a big gap between my kids again because, again, Gio and Lennox have a 6-year and a couple months age gap. So I knew I didn't want to wait that long again, so my kids can be a little closer in age. So I landed on June. I wanted to get pregnant in June and then have the baby in spring. And that's, God, thank you, Lord, that happened for me. Again, that's why I got off of my birth control so early, so the hormones can start exiting my body. And how I was able to not get pregnant is by just tracking my period and ovulation in the Flow app. And I have a pretty regular period, which is every 28 days, a regular cycle. So it's easy for me to track when I'm ovulating, and I kind of just avoid intercourse when I'm ovulating. And so that's how we were able to avoid getting pregnant in those months. I did think that I was pregnant in May, or I had some type of chemical pregnancy, because Again, I tell you, my period is super regular, every 28 days. But that month, my period was like 5 days late. I didn't ever take a pregnancy test because I was just waiting. And eventually my period did come. So that was a little odd for me. But I wasn't pregnant in May. So in May, I did order a ovulation kit from Amazon, and I will link it down below for anyone who is trying to conceive. Basically, an ovulation kit is similar to a pregnancy test. However, you urinate on the strip and it tells you if you're ovulating or you're getting close to ovulating. There's two lines. If the second line, there's a control line which is always solid, and then you have the second line where you can see if it's darker, that means you either are ovulating or you're getting close to time of ovulation. That way I can be double sure. Again, my periods are super regular, so it wasn't hard for me to know that I was gonna ovulate sometime around June 17th. June 16th, 15th, or 17th was when I was gonna ovulate. But I was taking that ovulation test just to be sure, because again, I really wanted to get pregnant in June. So I was doing those ovulation tests. Finally, it was go time. Now, and before actual ovulation day, me and Anthony were, I don't know if this is weird, but basically we were doing it every other day. I don't know, like, if you are my family and you're watching this, you think it's weird, whatever. I'm an adult now. Like, I have 2 kids. It's not a surprise. So we were basically like doing it every other day, just in case, just so we wouldn't miss our window. And then I got the ovulation thing, and I'm like, okay, it's ovulation time, so we're definitely doing it today. We're definitely doing it tomorrow. And so yeah, that's kind of how the trying to conceive portion went. It was more of a transactional. Oh my god, this sounds terrible. I'm an adult. Okay, I'm an adult. Okay. Yes, so after all that ovulation period, you know, we waited a little bit. I waited. And then me and Anthony were somewhere. I think we were at dinner, and I was wearing like a tank top, you know? And he was like, your boobs are very veiny. Like, you could see all the veins in my boobs. And he's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, shut up. Like, no, I'm not. You don't know. And I was like, my boobs were a little sore. But I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. The ovulation kit that I purchased, it came with 10 pregnancy tests, similar to the ones that look like the strips, not like the ones you buy in the store. I guess you can buy strips in the store, I'm not sure. But the next day after that, since I already had pregnancy tests, I took a pregnancy test. And I'm going to enter the picture. You can see a very faint line, the second line. And I was like, I'm pregnant. And obviously this was 4 days before my period was supposed to come, so it's super early. It's also known as 10 days DPO, which is 10 days past ovulation. 10 days past ovulation? DPO? Days past ovulation. Okay, DPO, days past ovulation. Wow, brain fart. Another one of my symptoms. So 10 days past ovulation, I took that test, and I will have a picture of it on my phone, so I will insert it here, and you can see a little faint second line. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm pregnant? No way. So that began the cycle of taking tests. That began the cycle of taking many tests. My ovulation kit came with 10 test strips, pregnancy strips. I took all of those. I also bought 3 boxes of pregnancy tests, which some of them come 2 or 3 tests a box. Took all of those. I probably took over 20 tests. And you know what I was tracking is just making sure that obviously the second line got darker, you know. So I would take one the next day. Sometimes I would skip a day and then take one the next day, because they say your HCG, which is your hormones for pregnancy, double every 48 hours, I believe. So sometimes I would just take it, like I would skip a day and take it, or sometimes I would take one in the morning and take one at night, and I would notice a difference. It was insane, because you think that your first morning urine is like the strongest, but honestly, sometimes my afternoon or evening urine would be it would give me a brighter test line, whatever, positive. So I mean, I was crazy testing, and I was crazy testing because if you don't know this, I have lost a pregnancy in the past before Lennox. And so when you deal with something like that, which a lot of people do deal with that, it brings a certain layer of anxiousness to your pregnancy. So I was doing a lot of testing. When you're pregnant, they typically do not want to see you till you're at least 8 weeks. So I knew that since I was so early, like I hadn't even missed my period yet. I knew that if I called in office, they'll be like, okay, you're crazy, like you need to call us back after your 6-7 weeks something. So because of that, I scheduled my own ultrasound on the side. Like there's these little businesses now that you can do ultrasounds at, which is so insane because this was not a thing when I was even pregnant with Gio. Even with Lennox, I don't even remember utilizing ultrasounds aside from the ones that you go to your actual doctor. So I found this place in West Palm, and I drove there, and it was super early. I want to say like I was 6 weeks pregnant, maybe even 5, and all you could see was my gestational sac, which was, it was relieving, but it was also scary because since I had never seen an ultrasound that early, I didn't know if that was good, you know? Whenever I'd ever seen my first ultrasound, I'm always at least 8 weeks or more, and you'll see the sac and the baby. But when you go so early, you just see the sac, which is like kind of hard because it's like, well, is that sac gonna form a baby? It's so early, I don't know. I still have to wait. So it didn't really help with my anxiety. But with that ultrasound, they let you come back for free. You paid for it, but for free you can come back in a couple weeks to hear the heartbeat, which I thought that was so cool. So I was able to see the sac, and then in 2 weeks, 7 weeks, or 8 weeks, I could make another appointment to come see the heartbeat for free. And that came in so handy, guys, because when I hit 7 weeks, it was the same week that I was going to Jamaica, and it was my birthday week. And I woke up, I went to the restroom, did number 2, and another part of pregnancy anxiety is constantly, when you wipe, you check the tissue. I don't know if anyone does this, but I do this. You check the tissue because you want to make sure you don't see anything on the tissue, i.e. blood. So obviously it's very routine for me to look in the toilet after I use the restroom. Sorry if that's TMI, but I'm talking about pregnancy here. It's not that pretty all the time. So I looked in the toilet, and I did see some bloody tissue. It looked like tissue, not tissue paper, like tissue from your body. I was very alarmed because I hadn't seen any blood this entire pregnancy. It's normal to spot in the beginning of pregnancy, or sometimes throughout your pregnancy. It's normal, but it wasn't normal for me. I had never experienced that during a pregnancy. So I was very alarmed. Not only did I see it in the toilet, but I saw it when I would wipe. And for a couple of days after that day, every time I wiped, it was like pinky hue, So it definitely wasn't normal for me. So that alarmed me. I called my OB. She said, again, it's normal to spot, which I knew it was normal, but again, it wasn't normal for me. So it's not that easy for me to just like, it's fine, and let it go. So I ended up, they told me like, okay, we want you to be on pelvic rest, put your feet up. We don't want you doing anything crazy today. We're gonna see how it goes and monitor it accordingly. If it gets darker, give us a call. So I can't do that because I'm anxious now. And I'm going out of the country in 4 days. God forbid, I don't want anything to happen to me while I'm in another country, and I don't really know the medical care there as much, if it's going to be as good as it is here. It's just too much unknown for me. So I was not ready to just sit down and do nothing. So I made Anthony take me to the emergency room in Boca. We got to the emergency room, and this was a Tuesday. This was the Tuesday. My birthday was on a Thursday, and we were leaving Friday. So Tuesday is when this happened. Anthony was supposed to be working, but I was like, I'm going, and he wasn't gonna let me go by myself. So we went to the emergency room. We waited to be called, but the emergency room was full. Obviously, with the current times, it was gonna be a while before we got seen. Surprisingly, that day, that Tuesday, that morning, was was my appointment to go listen to the heartbeat at the ultrasound tech that I had already purchased. But I decided to skip it and rather go to the emergency room, because if God forbid there was something happening, I'd rather be in care of the emergency room versus just like these ultrasound tech. They're not doctors, you know. They're just there to let you see your baby in between visits. So they wouldn't be able to do anything for me. They wouldn't be able to answer no questions. They wouldn't be able to do anything for me. So I decided to skip that heartbeat appointment and go to the emergency room. We were waiting for so long, and I was like, you know what? It's still very light pinky. It's not getting redder, you know, when I would use the restroom. And so I was like, let me just call this heartbeat place and see if they can move my appointment to the next hour, 30 minutes. So I called them. I was like, hey, I had an appointment for 10 o'clock. I want to see if there's any other available appointments for today. And they're like, oh, you can come at whatever time it was. I can't remember exactly. And I was like, all right, cool. So we left the emergency room. We actually didn't get seen at all. And we drove to West Palm, which is about a 25-minute drive. And we went to the appointment, and we heard the heartbeat. And that made me feel very, very good, okay? I felt great. And I was still wondering why I was spotting, but I was not as concerned, obviously, because I saw the heartbeat, and this time I seen a baby. It looked like a little ball, though, in the sack versus just a sack. So that made me feel amazing, and I was so grateful that I had even had that option. And it just worked out. I don't know, it just worked out, dude. Oh my god, 17 minutes. I'm not even it's gonna be a long one. Okay, so after that, I felt relief. We went back home, or got breakfast, went back home, and we started, you know, finishing packing for our trip. My doctor's office called me back that afternoon, and they're like, hey, we had a cancellation for tomorrow. Do you want to come in and be seen, you know, just to make sure everything's going good? And I was like, absolutely yes, because like now I would see my doctor. And so Wednesday morning I had an actual visit with my LB, and she did an ultrasound. She checked the heartbeat. We went over, like, she's like, listen, I have some girls that they never spot, and then I have some girls, they spot their whole pregnancy, and we never know why. The baby still comes out healthy. Right now everything looks good with the baby. Everything looks good with you. I'm not concerned. I just want you to do some pelvic rest for the next week. Hold on, my camera's gonna die. I don't want you to be, you know, super alarmed. Again, it happens to girls. We never know the reason why. And so I just want you to know everything looks good right now. And I just want you to be on pelvic rest for a week. So I was like so grateful, and I was so happy, and I could continue on enjoying the rest of my birthday week and the rest of our trip. Did still, you know, look up information for the hospital in Jamaica nearby where we were, just in case, God forbid, anything happened. I knew where we could go and how close it was to us, and I just felt way more comfortable. So that was just the big scare that we had. After those, I want to say I was having the pinkish hue up until Thursday. Excuse me. Pinkish tinge up until Thursday. And I want to point out, when I did have that red spotting going on, they did ask me if we had had any intercourse recently, and we had not. So it was not due to intercourse specifically, because that can happen, you know, it can make your area sensitive down there, but that was not what we did. So it wasn't due to that. It could have been due to straining, because I do, when I'm pregnant, personally, constipation is a very much a what is it? A side effect? Not side effect. It is a, what is the word? It is a symptom. So it could have been me straining. 2 FedEx trucks just are passing by. Here's the second one. And so I don't really know why that happened, but that was the scare for a couple days. And I was just so scared that something was gonna happen, and I was in a different country. That was scary. And luckily we got the okay to go to Jamaica. She said no drinking. I was like, I am aware. And we were able to fly out. Let's see. Looking at my notes here just to make sure I'm not skipping anything. The beginning of the pregnancy, I did have like a lot of nausea. Mostly it was because I have a hard time like feeding myself at appropriate times. Like I would wait till like 11 for my first meal, and then by the time I'm eating my first meal, I would get nauseous. I did throw up one time. It's when we went to Atlanta at the beginning of July. I threw up one time. I thought I was getting a stomach bug because when we went to Atlanta, I never vlogged this trip, but we all got sick. Well, all the boys got sick. So Lennox started first. We were about to go to Waffle House, but it turns out they weren't seating people. Next thing you know, Lennox is throwing up in his car seat, literally vomiting. And then he vomited again. Then we got to the hotel and he vomited again. Like it was just vomit, 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 vomit. 24 hours, he woke up, he was fine. Next day it was Anthony's turn. He was vomiting. Next day it was Gio's turn. He was vomiting. And they just went through a stomach bug, but I never got it because I only threw up one time, and I'm pretty sure it was related to my pregnancy versus me getting the stomach bug. So I only have thrown up one time in my entire pregnancy up until this point. A lot of shortness of breath, headaches in the first trimester. I was getting a lot of cramping in the beginning. It would make me nervous every time I would cramp, but that is a common symptom, and it's not really, it's just things changing down there, you know what I mean? I would wake up starving, and I'm going through the first like 14 weeks of pregnancy. This is the kind of, nothing was out of the ordinary besides the incident with the spotting that I had gotten checked, but a lot of cramping, headaches, fatigue, nausea, one vomit session, lots of gas. Lower back pain. I did have a lot of acid reflux in the beginning, and you know, just normal heavy boobs. Till this day my boobs are like so sensitive. If anything rubs against my boobs, I want to cry. Heavy boobs, hard, you know, sensitive boobs, hard time breathing, blah blah blah. Very much. None of my pregnancies did I really throw up or get real extreme morning sickness, except for Gio, which is my firstborn, in the beginning. Okay, so what's next? Okay, so yeah, those are basically my symptoms. After we came back from Jamaica, which we were gone from Friday to Wednesday, so almost a full week, I scheduled a blood test from the local lab diagnostic center to find out the gender of the baby, because again, I cannot wait. So I scheduled that. I was able to schedule it for the next day, and it cost $150. We just drove over there. They took my blood. They said it'll be about a week, and we waited. And I was expecting it on Thursday, but it actually came to me that following Friday, late in the evening, like 6 p.m. We were all of us were at the Menchie's. We were getting ice cream and dinner, Chipotle. We got Menchie's first and then dinner, and I got the email, and so me and the boys were in the car, and me and Lennox and Gio, and Anthony was in Chipotle getting our food, and I was like, hurry back to the car, I just got the email. And when he got to the car, I told him to open the email because I was like freaking out. I'm like, I cannot open the email. So he opened the email. It was just us four in the car, and we found out it was a boy. I was so shocked because I just felt like I was having a girl. But I feel like that comes more from other people like putting like a pressure on you to have a girl next because you have two boys. I always wanted another boy, but I'm like, I kind of want a girl just because I've never had a girl, and knowing this is the last baby, I was like, oh, well, it would be nice to have a girl. So I was shocked to see that it was a boy, but I was not disappointed. None of us were disappointed. Maybe Gio was, and Lennox. Well, Lennox doesn't know. Maybe Gio was, because he wanted a baby sister. I think we were just all in shock, and Anthony, I didn't think he believed it. He was like, we're gonna wait for the blood test, because at 10 weeks I was going to have the blood test from my doctor, the NIPS test, if you know. It basically checks for Down syndrome and everything like that. And I was gonna have that at 10 weeks, and I did this blood test at 8 weeks. So he's like, oh, well, he was excited, but he's like, I'm gonna wait for the next test to see if it's really a boy. I'm like, okay, but like, it's a boy. It's like, it's harder to get a false girl result than a boy result. So that's when we found out it was a boy, but we didn't tell anyone. And then after the NIPS test that we did at 10 weeks, that also took a couple days to come in, we got the second confirmation that it was a boy. And I was like, this is a boy, and it's a boy, and we're gonna have 3 boys, and I'm gonna be the only girl, because that's how God wanted it, period. And I told ourselves, no matter what it was, that this was still gonna be our last baby, because we're content with 3 kids. You know, like, we want to move on past that stage of pregnancy and newborn. So that's when we got in a mindset where we got to start picking out boy names. I have so many girl names on my list, and so I'll be passing those names on to my best friends and or my brother if he ever decides to have kids. Yeah, figuring out another boy name is very difficult. I first wanted it to have double N's, because Giovanni has 2 N's in it, Giovanni, and then Lennox has 2 N's in it, Lennox. But all of the boy names that have double N's in them, I'm not obsessed with. So I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we're not set on a name yet, and we're not gonna reveal the name until, you know, the baby's born. And that's just something that we keep to ourselves, because, you know, we tell the gender, we tell the pregnancy. But I just find that when you share your baby names with people, they have too many opinions, and I feel like once the baby's born and the baby has a name, there's no opinions to be made, because that's the baby's name. So that's why I choose to just keep our name to ourselves until it's time, because I don't need the unnecessary opinions of, like, I just don't. Like, I'll ask my friends, hey, what do you think about this name? And they'll tell me their opinion. But at the end of the day, we're going to choose what we want to choose. So what else am I missing? Sorry guys, I had to switch to my phone because my camera keeps shutting off on me. Okay, I wanted to circle back and say, telling Anthony that I was pregnant, I didn't do it any very special way, really. And I mean, I could have, but I feel like he knew we were like trying. Like, it was a very planned thing, and like basically I was just like, babe, come here, and then I had the pregnancy test on the counter, and I was just like, look at that. So if you're wondering how I told Anthony, literally that's it. And it's kind of funny because it's just like, when you get to your 3rd child, like, not to say it's not as special, but it's just like, I don't know, like, the effort is not the same, you know, but the excitement is the same. But it's just like, the little things, they're not as extravagant, you know what I mean? Like, there was no extravagant way that I told him. I just basically pointed him in the direction of the pregnancy test that was on the counter. So I've already gained a significant amount of weight. I want to say like 15 pounds. It's insane. I'm not too worried about it. Again, this is my last pregnancy. I am just trying to enjoy it. My registry is all set up. I'm ordering everything, or my registry's done completely on Amazon. I had a lot of baby stuff that I kept, like the bigger gear and a lot of the clothes, but there's just some things that are just like, I need to replace because, you know, Lennox just ruined it, or it needed to be replaced. So my registry has a good amount of things, but not too many, nothing crazy. I will leave that down below in case you need any ideas for your registry. Yeah, besides that, my checkups have done good. I have another checkup coming up on the 4th. I think that's another blood test. I don't remember what she said that we're checking for during that test, but again, they're just checking the heartbeat and taking blood for whatever blood test that is. And then on the 11th, I have my anatomy scan, which is already crazy. Like, this pregnancy is flying by, and I think it's just because I have 2 kids to keep me occupied. But it's already time for my anatomy scan in 10 days. Like, anatomy scan is basically they check the baby thoroughly, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be, everything's working properly. They check for cleft lip, they check the organs, blah blah blah, they check everything. So that's coming up, and yeah, and just like, it's insane. Like, it seems so far away, March 12th, but like, holidays are about to come up. Everything flies during the holidays. Before you know it, I'm gonna have a freaking baby here, which is insane. As far as like the nursery and stuff like that, the baby obviously is gonna be in our room for the time that we're here. Our lease is up in May, so we'll probably be moving in May. Don't know where. And so yeah, the baby will just be with us until then. And you know, we do have the guest room. If we do ever want to transition the baby into to its own room, we could do that, but I don't think that will happen because Anthony works again from home. Excited. They try to help, or Gio tries to help with baby names. Lennox, I kind of like have to tell him like baby in mommy's belly, and he'll kiss my belly, but I don't really think he understands what's going on. What else? Anthony hasn't been able to go to any of the appointments yet, but hopefully he could go to the anatomy scan one, because that one is like an in-depth one, and it would just be nice for him to go to that one. Again, we're very excited. I already talked to my doctor about getting my tubes tied after this baby. She said that we can do it, we can schedule it after my 6-week postpartum checkup, and then I have up until the day of the appointment to change my mind. And I just wanted to make sure that my option was there, just because, you know, we did talk about Anthony, and if he tries to back out, I will still get my tubes tied. Period, sis. I'm just done. Like, I'm done having babies. My body. Oh, that's another thing. Since I never did like a birth story about Lennox's birth, but basically the last 2 weeks that he was in my body, he was sitting very low, and I was dilated at 4 centimeters for like a week. But at 4 centimeters, they don't really want you sitting in the hospital. They're not going to progress your labor. They're not going to do anything. So I really just had to deal with Lennox sitting very, very low and putting a lot of pressure on my body for the last week of my pregnancy until I was 39 weeks. And they could finally, what's the word? They can finally schedule inducing. Before they could induce me. It was very hard, and I'm feeling that same pressure, not as intense, but I'm still feeling that same pressure now this early in my pregnancy. And I googled it, and it's something about you damage basically the area. I forgot the word that they use, but basically you could damage the area down there. It's not your cervix, but maybe it is. I don't think it's your cervix. Basically, you could have left damage down there, and I think that's what I'm feeling now. Not sure. Haven't talked to my doctor about that. I will talk to them about that when I go to my next checkup on the 4th. But yeah, I feel a lot of pressure. Some days I feel nothing, but some days I feel so much pressure. Like the baby's already 6 pounds and it's leaning. And I do think that he's very, very low, like very low, because when I do my heartbeat Doppler, I literally still have to be on my pelvic area. But I don't think they're gonna say anything, like there's nothing that I can do about it. So between that pressure that I feel already sometimes, starting at 15 weeks, to my back, I have a lot of back pain from also carrying my 2 babies, which were both 8 pounds 9 ounces. And my career, which is in dentistry, it's not really the best for your back. I really have back issues, and my body is just like, I don't think I could carry, God forbid, like I just don't think I could carry another pregnancy. But yeah, so this is our last one for sure, because my body's like, no, like you can't do this again. So yeah, we talked about that, so that's an option. We talked about being induced at 39 weeks if I would like to. I'm gonna try to go into labor naturally and not get induced, but again, if I am feeling so much pain, I'm also not gonna let myself feel pain just to feel pain and to say I did it. So we're just gonna take it out as it comes. But yeah, we're very excited. I just cannot believe that I'm gonna have a freaking newborn again. Like, I was going through Lennox's old clothes, I'm like, look at this little sock, and it's like this small. I was like, I'm starting to get things from my registry in. I have another baby. Oh my God. So yeah, but anyway guys, that is it. Stay tuned. I think I'm gonna do I don't think I'm gonna do like weekly updates, like 15 weeks, 16 weeks. I think that's overkill. So I'll probably just keep it like this: first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and then I'll do like hauls, baby hauls, and then I'll do my next video is gonna do what I added to my registry. I think I'm gonna do that, just so you can like get an idea of maybe if it's your third baby what you should add to your registry, because it's definitely not as much as what you would add when you're on your first or even your second. But yeah guys, that is it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Follow me on Instagram. I post more regularly over there, obviously, because it's simpler. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.